stocks, money, gold Rolexes, gold Rolexes with lions on them, doubloons, infinite V-Bucks. As a 14-year-old on r/Wall Street Bets, I know all about this stuff. Okay, don't even try me. Like, look at this silly meme here. You guys don't get it. Okay, you guys haven't achieved my highbrow humor, which is fine. You know, it's okay. But to put it in simple terms for you weak-minded baboons, the stock prices, they go down sometimes, and uh um
It's just a mental barrier.
I'm sorry to all my friends at school, but you guys have some really generic tastes. Like, there's nothing wrong with shows like Stranger Things or The Office. These are great shows, but they've been talked about to death. Like, just expand your taste. There's so many shows I know that are really great and are honestly pretty popular on their own, except I hear no one at school talking about them at all. I'll probably show some of these on screen right now, but the main one I want to talk about today is Successional. It's the only one I'm talking about today. It's the whole video. Now let me just get this out right away. This show is not for the faint of heart.
Fuck off. 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 Tell you about the man. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off.
But that's why I love it. They somehow turn a show about a bunch of silly little goofballs trying to run a media conglomerate into this gripping drama where I'm rooting for and against every single character in the show. Which is another thing, like, every character has a big list of pros and cons. Like, Kendall, he's been through a lot, but he's also done lots of bad things. Or Roman, who I respect because, you know, he's not like everyone else who's trying to act like a serious person. He's very real, but he's also kind of an asshole sometimes, and he gets persuaded way too easily by Logan. Or Shiv, who is probably one of the only smart people on this show. You know, you can really tell, like, yeah, she's smart. She knows what she's doing. But then at times it feels like she's too smart and she's trying too hard to get what she wants, where she that just starts manipulating these poor people that, like, don't deserve it. But at the end of the day, this is just why you watch the show. And if you can't really handle this kind of stuff, then, yeah, I mean, it's just not your show. Just don't watch it. Now let's get to the reason why I made this video in the first place. I'm 14. No 14-year-old knows the show, let alone watches it. Now, would you believe me if I said I actually like it? And even crazier, I understood it? And despite what Google may say, I am not actually related to Albert Einstein, so I'm just here to say that I don't really think this show is super confusing or anything for, like, teenagers. And I feel like more teenagers should watch the show. And this is coming from someone on the lower end of bleach usage. Like, I only drink about a cup a day, which is way lower than what the average 14-year-old drinks. So, you know, I was kind of surprised to understand a lot of the stuff. There just aren't many super confusing words in the show for, like, younger audiences. And, like, every now and then there'll be a word that pops up that you're like, yeah, I don't know what that means. But you usually figure it out, like, a little bit after hearing it, just from context clues and stuff. Kind of like what this Redditor says here. The business degree is not necessary at all, as there isn't too much business lingo, but I would at least dabble a bit with coke and heroin before you continue watching. It will heighten your watching experience. You might want to at least try meth once or twice. And meth starts with an M, and you know what else starts with M? Music. So let's go talk about music now.
I apologize if my bell summoned you.
The music in this show? Whew. Whenever I hear this music, I just go like, goodness gravy. Giving my ears ice cream. Okay, and I say goodness gravy whenever I hear the music. There's no exceptions. Everywhere I go, if I hear it, I will say that. Goodness gravy. If you've seen the show, I think, you know, we can all agree that the main theme is the best song in the whole show. But, like, if I had to pick a couple of runner-ups, I would probably pick $1 million home run and strings plus 808 plus beat. Even though, yeah, I mean, they're alterations of the main theme, but like most songs in the show are actually kind of just remakes of the main theme. However, I have been lying to you for the past 30 seconds or so. The real best song of the entire show is L to the OG. I'll leave a link in the description for that banger.
My boy Squiggle cooked up this beat for me.
This show really makes you feel like you're in a business meeting. And I mean that in the best way possible. There's actually a New York Times like quiz on Succession stuff, and one of the questions shows a bunch of pictures and it has you select which ones are stock photos and which ones are from the show. But again, not a bad thing. It fits the whole vibe. And it's not like the entire show is set in this stock photo world. There's definitely moments in the show where you're like, yeah, this looks pretty gross. But it's not just the sets and scenery that make the visuals look good, it's also just the way the show is shot. It's almost like the camera itself is a character in the show. There's all these shaky cam moments or crash zooms or shots that just jerk away from something. It's like we're in the room watching these conversations with characters, and then we move on to the next conversation and look over here and look at that. It's just something that I haven't seen in many like drama TV shows. Like you see it a lot in kind of like comedies like Parks and Recreation or The Office or I don't know, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I don't think many drama TV shows do this because they're afraid that it's gonna make them not be taken so seriously. And yes, I understand, like, not all dramas would look good with this kind of cinematography. Like Breaking Bad, if it had this style of camera work, it would not be like great. It just doesn't work with that show. But with this show, where there's lots of like dinner scenes, where there's lots of different conversations with all these characters going on at once, it makes sense for that kind of movement of camera to like go around to each character talking. And not only does this style of camera work benefit the visuals and just the scenes in general, it also benefits the acting.
My thing was all bangers all the time. Yeah, all bangers all the time.
Yeah, the acting's really good.
Very fair maiden for such activities. A very even-handed maiden.
The freedom that all the cameramen have in the show really forces the actors to always stay in character and always be ready for the camera to be on them. And although this does put lots of pressure on the actors, it makes for some really great scenes. With the actors always having to stay on edge, you really get to see everyone's reaction to something, especially with the cameramen moving to each individual person. And speaking of each individual person, let's just talk about the main characters real quick.
Fuck off.
I am so glad Jeremy Strong graced us with his presence just for this show. Everyone in this show does great in their roles, but he is just the highlight. He takes things so seriously in this, and I would not have it any other way. He has said multiple times that he takes this role more seriously than his own life, and I think that's just great, because Kendall, the character he plays on the show, does so many goofy and cringy things, except he never realizes it. He doesn't see it as cringy or silly. He takes everything he does so seriously, and it's such a perfect match because the actor, Jeremy Strong, also doesn't see the goofiness or cringiness of the character.
Fuck off.
Roman's my boy, alright? Take away all his weird kinks, and then you get penis jokes, making fun of serious people, and the shrugging off of anything negative that happens to him. And although he still isn't an incredibly relatable character, out of all of the main characters, he is the one that I relate to the most. I also think he's probably the most unexplained of the main characters. Like, we get little bits and pieces to why he's kind of messed up, but it's never just flat out explained to us. And I like that. It leaves some room for interpretation. Kieran Culkin also does amazing as Roman. He's definitely come a long way since the bed pisser of Home Alone, and I really hope he gets the Emmy for leading actor in a drama series. He really deserves it. His performance might not be as, like, dramatic as the other nominees, but, like, it was a very well-rounded season for him, and the fact that he hasn't won anything for this show is pretty crazy to me.
Fuck off.
Shiv and Kendall have always been the two main characters competing to be the one that goes through the most changes in the show. So it was pretty interesting to see her end the show in a spot that's pretty similar to where she's been before. But not to spoil anything, but I do think it fits her character. There's no real good person or people in the show necessarily, but Shiv is probably the closest we have to that good person. Again, not calling her a good person, just out of everyone, she is probably the goodest. But that does not mean she is easy to root for. Like, probably half the time I'm kind of rooting for her, and then the other time I'm like, I hate her. But that's just the character in a nutshell. She does some bad stuff, but she's always smart about it, and you do want to see her succeed in the end.
He ate my fucking chicken. So what next? Stick his cock into my potato salad?
As much as this show is a drama, it is in equal parts a comedy. Since a lot of the characters in the show are in, like, the top 1% of wealthiness in the world, they talk with, like, no regard to anything. They know they can get away with saying anything they want, so they kind of just do, and it leads to very funny moments. Especially when it comes from Logan Roy, because he knows he's, like, the top dog. Like, he knows everyone is scared of him. Everyone wants to be on his good side, so he does not care what he says.
Somebody sent a telegram to Alona telling her she's no longer required and my best to her cancer.
My lawyer used to work for the Justice Department. Who's your lawyer? Mr. fucking Magoo? If your hands are clean, it's only because your whorehouse also does manicures. Happy Christmas, you clock-watching fucks.
Now let me touch on Greg a little bit, because Greg's great. I love Greg. Everyone likes Greg. If you watch this show, you will like Greg. And as a comedic relief character, he has a surprisingly well-written kind of arc. But yeah, Greg, good in every scene he's in.
That's correct.
Yes. Yes, if it is to be said.
I'm sorry.
If it is to be said, so it is.
Are you all right?
Yes. I merely wish to answer in the affirmative fashion.
You can speak to us normally.
Okay. No, thank you, sir. So I shall.
There's this technique the show uses in certain scenes where at the beginning of the scene it will start pretty kind of normal, calm, and then over time it'll slowly ramp up into, like, getting very intense and loud. Anyways, the writing in the show is great. I know I didn't talk about it too much, but if you want a more in-depth look at the writing, then just watch another review, okay? This video is long enough. I don't have enough time to talk about all of it, but it's really good. So just trust me, bro, okay? The writing's great. So smart, so densely packed, funny, great.
I just wanted to get the gang together early in my tenure to say, yo.
With a show like Succession with so much information and characters and dialogue and just so many things to pick apart, it's pretty hard to fit it all into a 15-minute review, so sorry if I didn't cover, like, everything you wanted me to talk about. But I really just wanted to make a small, nice little compact review just to show my opinion as a 14-year-old baby boy on the show that was definitely not intended for 14-year-olds. And if you have a kid who's a teenager or you yourself are a teenager, give the show a watch, okay? This might be a hot take, but I think the very first episode of the show is one of the best. But it's just the ones that follow it that, like, aren't amazing or anything. I really don't. It doesn't reflect the show's, like, true quality, but if you really like the first episode, then just stay strong through the next couple of them, and then it regains its footing on the last few of the first season. So yeah, there you go. I don't have much to say. I have a Letterboxd account if that's your cup of tea. I'll put the username on the screen right now, and I'll leave a link in the description below. And yeah, that's it. Go hard, go fast, go, you lovely bastards. Hey guys, it's me, Taylor Swift here, and if you subscribe to Extra Guy, I'll give you free Taylor bucks.